First taping.
Right? Here, here.
And we'll see how this goes. I understand Jim will
Be here shortly.
and I spoke with Jeff Vazquez this afternoon. He's got a family matter, he will not be
That
here.
way,
Yeah, and I called him up after I
Yeah.
talked to you.
well, I thought he was out of town.
But
I knew
he's,
there
yeah.
was something, but I didn't know.
In any case, we have minutes from the last meeting.
Yeah.
Anybody wanna make a motion to accept?
I make a motion to accept.
Take a second?
Second?
In favor? Good. My report will be brief. I have had little communication since our last meeting. Mr. Alvarez, who is with us tonight, did meet with me last week, and his item will be taken up during the local production portion of the meeting. Other than that, oh, I had one, no, that's right, the only mail that I got was from Mr. Alvarez. These meetings generally never run past 9 PM, and it won't tonight, in case anybody's wondering. Jeff and Terry ready with the Media One report, or do you wanna wait for Jim on that?
Yeah, we'll wait for Jim.
You gonna wait for Jim on that? All right, I'll sort of fill in a little bit, since I spoke with Jeff Vazquez this afternoon.
Yeah.
Do we have copies of the new service and rate card?
I asked
This,
him to
yeah,
bring
this is the
this
rate.
rate
That is the new
Is
one.
this the
Yeah.
latest one?
That's the-
Okay, let's pass that around.
Same as the one I have.
Yeah, it's probably
So
so.
it's,
So
I'm
it's
sure it's the same
502
one.
for cable one. Now, do you have something that shows not only
This is,
basic broadcast, but exec and cable one
This is
and
not-
cable two? Huh?
this is not the new one.
I thought there was a slight increase in it.
Yeah, I mean, this shows the old prices, it does not show the new ones.
Yeah.
I've got a fax.
I have a new one here.
You got a new one?
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
This one,
This is new.
why have I
Yeah, it's
got-
pretty good.
I just got the mail today.
Yeah? All right.
Is this the one that starts with 476 for Hatfield?
Yeah, this is the
532?
latest one we have in the office, maybe it's, well, it says that it's been updated 12/97, so maybe
That's,
that's the old one.
yeah, it just became out of date.
Yeah.
So how new is your new one?
Came in the mail today
With your bill, I imagine.
with my bill.
Yeah. Well, I've got a copy of a letter that was written to the mayor
It's actually just
regarding the
That's a small one.
price changes. Most of them are decreases. These prices will become effective with the May 1998 billing, which I will assume is effective May 1st. And of course, they're required to give us 30 days' notice,
Okay.
and I'm sure they did that. I'm not gonna go through each one, but
1297.
most of the service calls type of charges have decreased by roughly anywhere from a few cents to $1 per charge. There is what I guess would amount to a new charge that had not previously been applied, and that is to connect the connection of customer equipment, which would include VCR games, home theaters, surround sound, stereo, and all that business. If it's a regular new connection and somebody wants to just hook up the VCR, there's not gonna be an extra charge for that. But if somebody makes a call, you know, takes a leap forward and says, well, why don't you hook up my home theater too, during the call, then the charge is gonna kick in, and it's $43.04 per half hour. So those 45-minute service calls will now reflect this charge. Again, in talking with Jeff, it's not going to apply to any regular service call where there's a normal hookup that may involve a VCR. The equipment charges, return of a damaged cable box has dropped from $250 to $175. A damaged remote has dropped from $25 to $11. Jeff says that's a reflection of across all of Media One's regions, that there's more older equipment out there than newer. Here we have mostly new equipment since we were rebuilt last year. The company has made a heavy investment in new equipment, especially cable boxes. And the monthly charge of the cable box has gone up from $2.19 to $2.40. And the remote goes up from 30 cents to 35 cents. And some of the higher end options,
How much is it now?
the remote went from 30 to 35. A couple of the higher end options, such as the service protection plan, went up from 99 cents to $1.95. And the smart guide went up from $1.95 to $2.95. Comments, discussion?
What is the smart guide? Is that the sort of enhanced directory service there?
Yes. You're
Is
asking
that available here?
You're asking someone who doesn't have it, but yes.
Yeah.
And that's available here?
It's like the preview
Yeah.
guide, except you have total control over it.
Right, so you
know.
can
Yeah.
check the channel you want?
Right.
Okay.
Find out, it's just like a TV guide, except it's on your TV
I
screen.
didn't even know that was available.
Okay, can I ask a couple questions?
Sure.
How do the rates get set? How does that decision get made?
Mostly they're regulated by the federal government. And, I don't know, do you guys wanna try for that one?
They
What
have
keeps them from,
formulas that
charging
they
as much as
use.
they want?
They are regulated.
There are certain regulations that
Allow
allow
them to
for
do certain
increases
things.
based on, increases in our costs.
Right, do you have to go to somebody to get approval for the rates that you're seeking? Either in the state or federally?
If they are within the regulatory limits, no.
They know.
Oh,
Yeah.
And that's what always happens here. Like, any increase that we see is always within the regulatory limits.
Yeah, they're very careful
How about
about
that?
that.
Yeah.
So, there's no special permission sought, they just have to have proper notification, which I believe is 30 days notice.
Right.
So they go in the bill that you're receiving now for May 1st.
Another question I had was, when I got the cable, this was the last year the whole new system
Yeah.
was set up, and said, we had a lot more channels, and there was also pay-per-view, but you can't use that unless you have a cable box. Is there any
That's right.
possibility of that changing?
No.
That's the only way you
That's
can get it.
Technology?
I've
Yeah,
done,
it's technology. Your
I've-
address is in the box.
I've done battle with that.
Yeah.
Because I'm frankly not happy with that, but that's the technology, and that's the way that the service is offered now. Any premium channel,
Unless you get
anything,
a dish.
yeah. Any premium channel or higher tier channel, I forget the numbers, what's the channel? From like channel 60 up would require a box,
I see.
except for channel 98.
Well, aren't there a few others that don't
Hey,
require?
these are old cards.
Not everything on
No,
that.
this is,
This is,
this is the one
Oh,
that is,
what's
I don't
it?
know what that one is.
this is an old one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's new.
Thanks. Anybody want a new card?
Yeah. Rich?
Oh, this-
No, you can
You
get,
got one?
you can get others without a box.
74. You can.
You can get,
And 98.
Cinemax and HBO and Star, all,
You gotta have a box.
For any of the premium channels, you do need a box.
do you for all?
Yeah.
I mean, years ago, you used to be able to get
Okay.
HBO. and-
Yeah, that
without the
changed when
box.
they made the
Exactly,
switch
you
over.
need a box for that.
The reason for that is they no longer have to go up on the telephone pole
Yeah.
to make the switch. They can do it from the office by directly addressing the box.
So what is it, Comedy Central's the only one?
I think that you can get pretty much your basic channel lineup except for the premiums without the box.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, is History Channel, is that?
That's
That's-
a little bit more than.
You gotta
basic.
have a box
Yeah,
for that.
yeah,
Mhm,
For that,
mhm.
for all of them?
yeah.
Other
Thanks.
questions?
Now, have all the packages pretty much stayed the same as for what you get in them? You know, they advertise HBO, HBO2, HBO3, Cinemax, but then there's also, when you start looking for something, you find out there's Cinemax 2 and Cinemax 3, and you think it's on Cinemax, and it's where you spend all this money, and you can't get half the things you thought you were gonna be able to get, because they suddenly split that up into 3 different businesses, and you end up on just basic Cinemax getting the same shows over and over again. And I
Yeah,
don't
the
think it's a really
HBOs.
great, huh?
We have the 3 HBOs, but.
Yeah, I know that.
Sounds like you're not happy with Cinemax.
Huh?
Sounds like you're not happy with Cinemax.
Well, I got it, and I thought I'd have it, and then you look in the guide and it says Cinemax, and then you find out it's Cinemax 2,
Oh, really?
Cinemax
Eventually,
3, and you can't get it.
Ah,
It'll be on Cinemax.
And the one, yeah, eventually, if you, I'm an older man,
we don't wanna keep you waiting around too long.
But, I wanna find out if there's a way. It seems like I spend a lot of money and I'm getting less than I used to before, that's my feeling, okay? And I'm just waiting for this meeting. so
I'm
I can
unclear on
talk
one thing,
about
Dennis,
it.
in this
Yeah,
right
but I
sheet.
don't See that?
Standard package up here. You got basic, cable 1, 2, and standard. I don't think I ever went over standard before, did we?
Yeah, what's
Do I have
standard?
that?
Because it doesn't say anything about standard on the channel lineup.
I know.
It's more money.
Where are you
And,
looking, Bill?
Right here.
Basic broadcast, cable 1, cable 2, and standard, right?
Yeah,
That must be the
standard, I think, is your regular, what we used to call expanded basic.
Is that what it
Cable
is,
1 and
maybe?
cable 2.
Yeah, it's cable 1 and
So
cable
it
2.
includes
It's everything that is
everything,
light
including-
blue and white on this card.
Oh, it's a combination.
Yeah.
I see, okay. So you could get just cable 2 if you
There it
wanted
is.
to, without getting cable 1.
I don't.
I don't think
can you?
so.
No, I don't think so.
Well, then,
I don't think so.
Maybe Jim knows.
what's the question?
Can you get cable 2 without getting cable 1?
I believe you can. You have to
You
get
can't?
There's
So
a
you
rate
have to
for
get
it.
basic,
basic,
I think, and then you can go right
then
to
you can
2.
go to cable 2.
You can
or
skip
cable.
one, huh?
I believe you
So that
can.
includes all 3 of those
Right.
packages, I see.
Doesn't cable 2 include what's on cable 1?
Excuse me?
Doesn't cable 2 include
I thought it did.
what's on cable 1?
I don't know if it now does. I know it used to not. It used to be an ability to
Yeah.
get just cable 1 was offered, I think, separately.
Uh-huh.
You might be right. We might have rolled it in because most people that want 2 will want 1. But
Mhm.
I can check into that for you if you like.
Yeah.
Alright.
Find out how it's broken out.
Yeah, you don't have anything else to do, so.
I don't pay for cable.
Actually,
I don't know how it works.
these kinds of questions,
Does anybody?
these kinds of questions are probably pretty good ones if we're gonna be taped, because I think this is a lot of stuff that.
Yeah, and it's
A lot
just,
of people are probably asking.
the local programming folk know the least detail about the pricing plan, and we
Yes.
can
Yeah.
walk most people through it, but I can find out for you exactly how
Okay.
it's
Okay.
packaged.
Jim, maybe you could briefly run down the 4 tiers that I see, or the choice of tiers that I see available
One
here.
in front of me, which I think I do since I brought my cable bill stuff today.
You want a card?
That would be helpful.
Yeah.
Is that the
Again,
12
the only guy in town that
that's
doesn't
the
actually purchase.
1297 on there for the, have the, form, that's an old one. That's 1297.
Yeah, they're on.
Yeah.
Okay, you wanna know the different packages and how they're, or the lineup, because I don't have a lineup.
Maybe
in front of me.
quickly. Yeah, I don't need a lineup.
Okay.
Takes a while.
Okay, so the basic broadcast, which is the off-air broadcast and public access, New England Cable News and so on. Basically
Maybe 2 to
2 through
13 plus,
I
or
thought it
2
was
to
16.
16.
2 to 16,
Something like that.
yep. Then there's we changed the name of that. Cable One, which is about, let me see here, what the heck is it? I think it's just about 3 or 4 channels. I can't off the top of my head recall what those channels are.
Well, it would be
Yeah.
like 9.
The white
16.
one.
You got it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nine
So
and
it's,
16,
s-
20.
it's been increased
24.
since we first offered it from 3 or 4 to actually 7 channels now. We added classic sports to that tier, and I think we added a couple of other ones. I think it was just 2 or 3 when we first offered that as a package. Cable 2 is the remaining cable programmers that are non-premium or non-new choice. New choice being the sci-fi, history, Fox Movies, Bravo, and Speed Vision. And the premiums being like HBO2, most of your movie channels. I think that's it. I think most of the sports channels are now rolled into the Cable 2 package, the ones that are out there. Classic being the one that's on that's Cable 1.
On
And
this,
then pay-per-view.
on this card here, is the standard price just a rolled up price for the first 3?
I
Is that what we're looking at?
don't know, I don't have a calculator with me, but it looks like it might be, because it's regulated, because
Yeah,
we're
it's gotta
regulated,
be.
it might have to be. I don't think we can discount it if you
Yeah.
order the 3, because we are mandated
Okay.
by FCC to have a certain rate, you know, so I don't think we
Mhm.
can discount it if you buy all 3.
Okay,
That's the non-premium stuff, though.
right. So the, for the standard package, it looks to me like you're getting about 51 channels?
I believe that's right. I think it might even be a little bit more than that, but
58 channels?
it's tough because they skip some numbers. But
Yeah.
Make it look-
more or less, it's, let's say,
Be ironic if it was 57.
it's about, I think it's more about 60. I can kind of look for you here. 1, 2,
You don't have to.
3, 4, 5, I think it's more, it's closer to 60. Because you do have some sort of
Okay.
sprinkled in there, like MSNBC, Comedy
That's,
Central.
yeah, okay.
Pay-per-view info, which is a channel, even though it's not something to sit and watch all day, it does help you buy the pay-per-view movies. Though I don't know. Viewers out there
Okay.
that watch it all day, I didn't mean to offend.
Okay, so I guess what I just wanted to point out that there are other options available other than the standard, which we used to call expanded basic.
Yes,
Basic broadcast is only $4.76, Cable One is an additional $4.47.
correct.
So you're still under $10 with
Yep.
those 2. Cable 2, which is a lot more channels now.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, if I'm looking at this right, in Northampton, the rate for basic broadcast is $5.32, not $4.76.
Oh, I'm
That's
sorry,
just
yeah,
Hatfield.
you're right, I was looking at the top.
And then Cable One is $4.49.
2 for-
So again, that's why, I mean, the difference there only being that we're regulated and have a certain formula, Hatfield being a different community than Northampton.
Right.
Shakes out differently, which is why I don't think we can have much flexibility in there in our pricing.
So for those looking for a low-cost option, you could get over a dozen channels
Mhm.
for less than $10.
Definitely.
Okay.
And I think the ones that we're offering on Cable One, TNT, TBS, Disney, those are all really highly rated ones as well. We're starting to get a lot of feedback from classic sports, a lot of people like that stuff, me particularly
Yeah.
too. But, so those are, they're not just channels nobody wants or nobody watches. Home and Garden's another one we get a pretty good niche following for.
Okay.
One question on HMP, they have this promotion for Turner Classic
Yeah.
Movies, and they got it in East Hampton.
Yeah, I don't think,
Now,
I don't,
that has, I guess, continual old movies that
Mhm.
an awful lot of people like, and it's the only channel that's really like that right now.
it's actually equivalent to AMC from what I can see. It's a different movie studio that they have bought the rights to. Ted Turner bought MGM maybe.
Yeah.
So those are most
So
of
he's
the
got an
MGM
enormous
movies.
library, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean,
It's
it's
an
similar in
enormous
concept to
library.
AMC.
The concept's the same, it's
Mhm.
got a lot of better older movies.
Yeah, I mean, on a regional level, like Jeff's always prone to say, we look at the marketing department looks at what's out there. Nick
Yeah.
at Night's TV Land's another one people are kind of clamoring for.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I'm sure those are being put into the mix. And it'll occur most likely like the way that Animal Planet and Classic Sports, MSNBC, I think those three were added in Northampton recently.
Yeah, they were.
And those were other ones too that we've heard a lot about in the communities that we went to. They scored pretty high on ratings. They're ones that we worked out deals with corporately, so, you know, they worked out financially for
Yeah.
us to be able to offer them without increasing the rate too much. And I'm sure that the other two, those are the two I hear about, mainly Nick at Night's TV Land and TCM. I think everything else I hear about we have.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll
So
be other
that's the only
services
one.
down the line.
Well, that's new one anyway, TCM, right?
I mean, the broadband system, which, you know, is much different than the old system where we reached channel capacity and that was it. We had to drop something to put something else
Right.
on and timeshare things. This is built to be expandable. But because of that increase in terms of capability, they regionalized, as you know.
Yeah.
So they're cutting deals on a much larger level. But more or less, subscribers in Northampton want the same things as subscribers in Northampton, New Hampshire, and any other Northampton, maybe probably even Northampton, England.
At our last meeting, I had asked Jeff, and I know he's not here today, so
Mhm.
I don't expect that you will have it, but
Never know.
if the minutes could reflect that, I would really be interested in getting more information from Media One about the process that Media One follows on a regional level to make those decisions, and Jeff had said that he could bring something
Yeah,
about how they do the surveying and how they, I
Yeah.
actually disagree with you that the people in Northampton, Mass are necessarily gonna want the same thing as the people in Northampton, New Hampshire.
Mhm.
So I think it would be interesting for us to at least be able, because I have a lot of people ask me that question,
Mhm.
you know, how are they making the decisions about what, you know, gee, I've been asking for this channel for years and they didn't have that, but they added this other channel instead that I don't
Mhm.
want. Of course, everyone's gonna want some channels they can't get, but
Right.
to at least be able to give people more information about how do communities get into the queue to be surveyed perhaps, or once the surveys have occurred, how does that information get processed by Media One to turn into a new channel?
Have you ever gotten any questions like that posed to you from
I've gotten a lot of people ask me,
Really?
how are they choosing new channels? Who gets to
What are the
decide?
ones that they don't
And,
get that's not on here?
Yeah,
well,
that they
there's,
don't get?
there's probably at least half a dozen of them, I don't,
Like
you know, I
what?
couldn't rattle them off the top of
Do
my
you know
head.
any of them?
TV Land's a good one,
Mhm.
I've heard that
TV
one
Land, yeah.
before, yeah.
Huh?
TV Land,
Yeah.
TV Land's a good one.
The
I've heard
TV
that
Land
a
and
number of
TCM are the
times.
two that we hear about enough so that I would predict, without having any knowledge of this, that they'll be added soon. They're
Yeah.
big enough, they're building up enough of a audience. Because the other thing you have to think about too is people have clamored for programming in the past that went away. You know,
Mhm.
those channels,
Right.
you know,
so
so.
they have to,
Mostly, I'm not so interested in
The
how can we
pro-
get this
right.
particular
Yeah,
channel, because
yeah.
I think you
What's
ask
that?
10 people, you get 10 different channels they
Yeah.
want. I'm more interested in being able to tell them a little bit more, I mean, because right now, we're in a position since Media One bought out Continental, where, you know, we've basically been told over and over that these decisions are being made at a regional level. So, we're sort of going to the point where, you know, it doesn't really matter if most people in Northampton want a particular channel, if
Yeah,
that
they-
doesn't match up with the regional demographic, we're not
Believe
gonna
me, though,
get it.
TV Land and TCM do, and I don't want to, you know, I'm not challenging you, but I'm just saying, there's very few that are going to be something that's just a niche that just Northampton people
Yeah.
want. As a native, being here and loving our diversity and the whole bit, I can't think of anything that just Northampton would want or not want, and no other community.
right.
Well, I don't
would
necessarily
want.
think it would be just Northampton, but,
Right.
Yeah.
and I don't want to turn it into a debate, but.
Right, no,
I
I
thi-
can,
I
and
think-
I'll find out the process for you, but just
Again,
to
yeah,
give you
my
an
concern
answer.
is more just to
off the top
have
of
more
my head.
information about what is the process.
Sure, I mean, they're just business
So-
decisions based on customer reaction and customer survey. The survey would be done, if it's done in Northampton, it wouldn't be Northampton specific, it would probably cover a big random sampling from all of New England, with
Yeah.
Western Mass included.
Mhm.
And again, it's just a larger picture, but I can find out, I can get exactly how the process is done. Last time I was with Jeff at a meeting, he mentioned a polling company or surveying company that basically, you know, does all the big sampling for lots of industries. So their methods are sound if they're not specific to communities.
Yep.
But I can find out for sure.
And I think what
Why
you'll
don't we-
find, I think what you'll find with a lot of constituents is people are feeling somewhat powerless in terms
Yeah.
of, you know, how are my rates getting raised? I don't understand how that decision gets made. How are my channel lineups changing? I don't understand how that decision gets made.
Right.
And if at least we can give them a little bit more information about that, I think they'll be
Sure.
happier.
Okay, no
So-
problem.
Well, and if we, most especially though, showing exactly what we have and what it costs. But a lot of people don't know that they can get as many channels as they can for under $10.
Mm-hmm.
They really don't. And they say, I bought all this stuff and I don't really care about it.
Mhm.
Right.
You can get it.
Mhm.
and
Well, I'll
it's
make sure
cheap.
I follow up on that for you. I know Jeff started that, because I saw some
Maybe we
emails
can
going
ask-
back and forth, I don't know where it
Yeah.
went,
I
so.
appreciate
So
that.
maybe we could
Okay.
ask Jeff for the next meeting to have some sort
Yeah.
of presentation
Yep.
That'd be
for
great.
what the process is, what kinds of questions are asked,
Sure.
what's the range of the survey, and so
Yeah,
forth.
and it might, maybe I can even get somebody from regional marketing to come out who would,
That'd be
because
good.
Jeff and I are basically interpreting it at that point for you, so I'll
Yeah.
see if I
Yeah,
can.
yeah, that'd be
find him.
even better. I know Jeff has told me that he goes to plenty of meetings. Maybe
Yeah.
he could,
Yeah, I'll give him a break.
bring one of the big shots with him.
They used to do those surveys town by town when they were Continental.
Right,
And it was,
that's what I
Oh, yeah.
thought.
it was a lot
Well,
easier, they
it's a
could,
little
they could
different
do it quickly too, they had the
Right,
results
right.
back quick.
Yeah, well, they had a local, research.
Oh,
Market Street.
Market
Street
Right.
research,
Yeah.
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 So, but
So things have clearly changed.
they've grown out of that.
Yeah, no
Okay.
doubt.
Okay, I had one other item that I brought up with Jeff, and I'll just put it on the table, I know where it's gonna go. I think I've asked Ralph at every meeting to have the elderly discount on the agenda. And
Well, you don't have to put it on. the
assuming that it
agenda,
is
put it-
tonight, I was just gonna point out that, Media One recently reached an agreement with the city of Springfield, which includes an elderly discount. It is, 10% off, the expanded basic tier, which I guess is the standard tier it's called for, heads of households 62 and over. Once again, I think we ought to have that here.
Yeah, as you'll notice in the meetings, we mentioned the fact that it was not included in the signed agreement with the,
It's not,
mayor of, Northampton.
it's not an
that
outside
she did
agreement, but
consult
I'm
us.
one who thinks that if they really wanted to do it, they would do it.
And.
Well, yeah, it probably wasn't in their signed agreement in Springfield either, was it?
No, actually it was.
It
was?
Yeah,
It
well,
was.
that's why they got
It
it.
That's why
was,
they
and
had- they
Mayor
had to do it.
Albano decided to make a big deal about it.
Yeah,
I
oh,
just-
yeah.
I think they spent 6 months not talking,
Yeah.
because he would not back down
Right.
from that. And they finally got back to the table, and they now have the elderly discount.
Well, it was a definite
That they had
negotiation
all-
Well, was it-
process. I'm
was-
sure they lost something to get this in.
Was the mayor using it as leverage before he signed the agreement?
She forgot.
Or was
to-
it-
She
At
forgot
least-
to include it.
At least politically
Okay?
and
She
publicly,
forgot-
he
She
did.
forgot to include it,
And-
and she
Yeah.
signed it too soon without having us look at it, my opinion.
Well, I'll share the blame in that, because I negotiated it with her, and it was an oversight on our part. We should have made an issue out of it, and we didn't.
And it's harder to do it after.
But if they wanted to give us one, they could.
They also mentioned,
We
or
have to
Jeff,
fire you, though.
Jeff mentioned a couple meetings ago, when the senior citizens were here,
Mhm.
asking for it, that one of the things that Media One was considering instead of elderly discounts was need-based discounts. And I haven't heard anything else about that, so I'd be
Yeah.
interested to hear if that's
Yeah, but
actually
you-
true.
I haven't either since that
So,
last meeting.
okay.
I know that was being looked at.
Okay.
It may, I don't know, I'm sure it went on to, again, a bigger
Yeah.
picture of the whole.
Again,
organization.
But when I talked to the people down at the Council on Aging, I said, look, this is what you can get for $5, and this is what you can get for $10. Oh, I didn't know you could
Yeah,
get that.
they were ecstatic.
That's
And they
probably,
didn't really
Yeah, I
care
think
about
there's
a
a big
discount with
educational
that.
They were just paying that $28 a
Yeah.
month and not even
Yeah,
watching all
Because
those
they
other
didn't
Some
know.
of
channels.
them were
Yeah.
paying 25
And
bucks,
once we were aware of that, I
28
think
bucks.
Mark Smith provided you with tons of stuff to bring down there or
Yeah,
send
I-
directly
I've
there,
heard
so.
that.
that
they were
there's stuff
prior
on
to the
hand.
Council on Aging.
Yep.
I think that's something that can continue to happen,
Oh, yeah.
to
Mm.
make
So-
sure that everybody is aware that these lower price tiers are available.
Right. Good idea. Matter of fact, I want to do something.
Wait a minute, what did you say? Who's gonna be made, or?
Make sure everybody
No, that's something
knows
that
that
they-
they're
I think should be an
available.
ongoing
People aren't
process.
as,
Yeah.
aware of those things as they should be. Of
With the responsibility
availability.
on Media One for that.
I would hope so,
Should be.
sure. something like this channel lineup card, is this included with the bills?
It wasn't in the last bill.
Actually, it's not a channel
no.
lineup, it's
The
a
last
pricing
bill had, equipment installation and service rates, didn't have a
You
line.
know,
They are available at the office on Bradford Street, and they are mailed out periodically if there's
Okay.
any changes made to them, and then probably just every quarter, or, you know, I'm
I
not
think
sure, but.
if they were mailed out at least quarterly,
Mhm.
whether there are changes or not,
Mhm.
that would be very helpful. Because I know that most elders are probably not gonna go down to the office to pick one up.
Right.
Uh,
Well, we can make sure that at least that the Council on Aging is supplied with them, and
Mhm.
maybe
That
even
would
look
be
at some
good.
other places like the
That would be
Lathrop
good.
Community, or, you know.
But I think, I mean,
Salvo House.
not just for elders, but, but across the city.
Mhm.
If all customers were made aware that these lower price tiers are available,
Mhm.
I think that would be
Yeah.
good business.
And one of the
I'd like to
things
see
that-
them in, at least quarterly,
Yeah.
in the bills.
I think the trend corporately, from reading one of the trades last week too, was that we have a guy that we hired from TCI out in the corporate office in Denver, whose real mission is to try to figure out how to offer people à la carte programming.
Mhm.
So there's going to be even more split in the basic package,
Yep.
so that you can get one or two channels or just what you like or whatever. Try to break it out even more. It's a huge obstacle from what I was reading, not knowing all the details, but that is the definite direction. that the company wants to
Technologically,
go.
it's a huge obstacle.
I think it's both financial and technological, you know, to be able to give, to put all of that on the customer side so that it works that way, it doesn't make sense from a business standpoint.
Right.
So it's gotta be some kind of balance or gradual rollout, or, I kinda got lost about 3 pages. over my head.
Are there other cable companies in Massachusetts? Just.
No, there's plenty. There's Greater Media, there's RCN, which is a competition or competitor in the Boston area. That's an electrical company, kind of
There's
spin-off.
Cablevision.
Cablevision is in
Cablevision.
Boston.
Yeah.
There's Amrak, which will soon be something new. Avalon, I think. Media One's definitely the largest in New England.
And of course, there are lots of wireless cable companies,
Yep,
the little dishes,
and the big dishes.
and the big ones too.
And Media One's involved in that too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I sort of took over the report of Media One for you.
Thank you very much.
But if you have anything else for the report of Media One
I actually don't.
portion-
Jeff just told me to come by, make sure that we had a presence here. I knew Terry and Jeff were gonna be here. I didn't know the interns would be here as well. And the camera I knew was gonna be here, so I changed from my sweats into what I'm wearing now.
We're all grateful
TV
for
clothes. I'm happy to report that we're still in it. We're down 2 games to 1 when I left, and it's best out of 5, so
Oh, you were playing?
good luck to Chaps, yeah.
Great.
It's hard to leave, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't get hurt.
held our own.
I thought you had lost the semifinal since you're in there.
You thought you already lost.
No way. It's the only thing that would
Okay.
make me miss one of these.
Next on the agenda is the production and programming manager, Jim McKeever. We've got 2 items on the agenda. You'll give your usual report of what's going on with the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have Mr. Alvarez on the agenda. Why don't you give your report first, Jim?
Okay, in a nutshell, Terry and Jeff put together for the group, for the meeting. Something that we have to change because it says Continental Cablevision Events. We'll work on that for next meeting. Didn't catch that in my proofing the first time around. But as you can see, we've had our usual busy first quarter. Beyond the regular meetings, just to walk you through it real quickly, we covered the inauguration as we do every 2 years. There was a lot of interest in the state hospital land and what was going to happen with that, so we covered the meeting there. We're covering our first cable board meeting tonight for tape delay purposes. We've done a lot of camcorder classes and edit classes, and E&G training, which is sort of the old-fashioned way of gathering footage in these days, where you've got a camera and a deck, and quality's good, but it's kind of a pain in the neck to run around and get the footage that way. So most people, as you can see, opt for camcorder classes. That's why we teach more of those. We met with Dick Carnes at JFK about school committee coverage in the new room. They've also purchased a new audio system, and we worked with them on that, which is working like a charm. We met with ServiceNet about doing a video for them. And we had our annual tour from the Fort Hill School of little kids, and there's an attached picture of me with my mouth wide, gaping open, so I'm talking to the kids there. That's Group A's trip to the TV studio. They make a little book afterwards for us.
You were just talking.
I guess that's what I usually look like. I don't really see myself.
It's hard to tell in that.
We had a couple other tours.
Who
Yeah, go ahead.
bought the audio equipment for JFK?
I believe it was part of the JFK Building Committee when I was going to those meetings last summer or the summer before. They actually got it together and put it in with the city department, I think, the building department, Brett Jacobus.
Central Services?
Central Services, that's what it's called, right. And who do we do the tours for in February besides Fort Hill? The Girl Scouts and, or just regular tours? Were they?
They're just individual people who had called and wanted to know more about our facilities and were interested in.
We're working, and we're also working with a group called Cafe Habitat about developing an internship program for them. We always are meeting with potential interns. Children and Family Services is another group that wanted to do a project. Terry graciously helped out the Plainfield Fire Department. I think it was Terry. Give credit where credit's due. Jeff assisted the Sunderland officials with their camcorder operations. And the Children's Trust Fund is another project we worked on, as well as translated the camcorder manual into Spanish and created some local PSAs. And then we just attached some things that have been in the paper in the first quarter. Thank you note from the Group A teachers, as well as that picture. I spoke at the JFK School to Career Partnership. Had some interesting conversations with some students. And then had a couple other groups we worked with from basically the end of last year, the Community Music Center and South Hadley High School regarding the internship program.
Have you ever had any contact with the production classes here at the high school?
It's never really gotten past a certain stage. We've had conversations with Mr. Kress and Mr. Scott at JFK. And
Who doesn't do that anymore, by the way?
He doesn't?
No, they switched roles with Joe Dacry.
But anyway, we've had initial discussions and haven't gotten any farther yet because I think there's still a matter of translating sort of what we're good at doing and what schools are good at doing. And I think the issue always seems to boil down to transportation. I mean, we could come here, but we can't bring an edit suite with us, so we can only still do camera work. The students eventually need to get to Bradford Street to edit. Up here they can do some editing, but it's not, we can't teach them really anything different than they're learning in their regular classes, so it's just a matter of getting access to those edit suites. So we've tried again to, I think consistently for the last decade, sometimes with some success, sometimes not, getting students to come after school, getting to come, I think we looked at weekends at one point, and summer, trying to do like a summer school program, but there's just different cultures there, and it's difficult to, we can't provide transportation, and the school really isn't set up to provide transportation to get the kids to Bradford Street as part of that process. So the career partnership school to work thing seems to be someplace where we can get that sort of middle ground for the students that want to feed in through that internship kind of process and have the transportation to get down to Bradford Street.
I've had a couple of students come by and do projects who are
From here?
currently at the high school, yeah.
It seems to be more like an individual basis. It's
Yeah,
hard to get something, it's like, I guess we look at it as a way to get our word out to the kids that we're there and do tours and hand out business cards and come in and show them things and talk to them. And then every now and then it clicks. Some kids really really get into it.
Okay.
And just the other point too that I thought of is that we did purchase the stuff here so that it is compatible. So kids are learning essentially the same equipment. It's not like they have to relearn anything. The only other report is that the edit suites are still in the process of being built because Panasonic does not have in stock the models that we need. So what they do is they manufacture them and then divvy them out based on probably vendor volume, and then those vendors turn around and divvy them up based on volume as well. So we're hanging in there waiting for Panasonic to come
So
through
where do
for
you
us.
land in the pecking order?
I don't know. I'd like to think we're high up there, but it's been a while. I don't know. What do you think, Bill?
I don't know, what are they, mixing boards?
No, they're decks.
Like
Oh, the new
AV5
guys.
and AV7s?
Nah, they're, what's the ones, the play decks? They're the recorded model of the play deck,
Gosh, Dennis
or
told
the
me.
slow motion.
That stuff
decks.
is so expensive, they don't
840s,
produce that
I
unless
think.
there's plenty of orders allocated.
Yeah, they're not the same. They're like the next level up from the ones that are up here. I mean, essentially, the kid editing wouldn't notice a difference on them, but it's frustrating. So we're hanging in there. We have the racks, we have boxes of stuff. We're really waiting for the nonlinear editing system to be installed. I'll let you know, keep you posted.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
On next item on the local programming section is Mr. Alvarez. I'll give a brief overview while I pass out this documentation. If you could pass that around. Mr. Alvarez has been a local producer since the fall, I believe, working on a number of productions. My understanding is that there has been some difficulty, and the end result of that was that Mr. Alvarez's privileges at the studio were discontinued. Now, according to the Media One Public Access Handbook, Rules and Regulations, there's all kinds of rules in here about, you know, using the local access studios, and I won't go into those rules. But there is one that says, failure to obey either the letter or the spirit of these rules will be grounds for loss of privileges, which I believe is the issue here. Requests or privileges denied may be appealed to the manager of public affairs or the cable advisory group in your community. Now, this is news to me, that this kind of matter could be appealed to this board. And
What power does this board have to grant him permission?
that's where I'm going. I take issue with it because our role, as defined by the city, is to advise the mayor on cable TV matters. And I am not willing to expand that role in any way.
Where does that say that in here, Dennis?
This is, I don't know if you have.
I'm not-
Dennis, that's actually, I think, in the license.
Is it in
That's
the
why it's in
license?
the handbook. I'm pretty sure it's in the license.
What, okay.
Yeah,
But it's part of state regulation?
I'm not sure about that. I know it's in pretty much every license that we do.
I'm not sure that anybody volunteered for this board for that purpose.
I think so.
In
You know,
any-
what if we do say, Jim, you gotta let him do this? I mean,
Yeah, what if
what's
we
Jim
do
gonna
that?
say?
That's not gonna happen. What we can do is listen to both sides in the matter, and if we wish, do what we are charged to do, is make a recommendation to the mayor. And then it's entirely up to her what happens next. So if everybody is comfortable with that, we'll go that route.
Why not?
Maybe we could hear the
Okay.
complaint,
You wanna hear the details? Yeah.
details.
Okay, we've got two packages. The one that I just passed out is what Jim gave to me, and I have copies of it. And in the blue envelopes is the package from Mr. Alvarez. So, Jim, why don't you tell us what's going on here?
Basically, the reason for the privileges being revoked had to do with the part that you were talking about in the handbook that had to do with the letter and spirit of the rules and policies that govern Northampton Community Television. It has probably more to do with the spirit and less to do with the letter of the policies. What Northampton Community Television is really charged to do is to provide public access for the city of Northampton, as you know, which stems from the First Amendment of the Constitution. So the basic governing policy for us is that First Amendment right, meaning that it's a setup in such a way so that people have the ability to get a message across, and there shouldn't be any obstacles for them to access that channel and to be able to do that. What we've created, to the best of our ability, being given the mandate to provide this, is a channel that's able to be accessed by people that have pre-produced programming from other places, which we have a great deal of, as well as people that produce programming at Northampton Community Television for later playback. What we're charged to do basically is provide fair and equitable use of that equipment, and that's the thing that governs us, governs Terry and Jeff, who are our community television coordinators, on a day-to-day basis. Making sure that we're not doing anything in our policies and our procedures that would prohibit us providing fair and equitable use. That being said, we're set up in such a way that the community has a lot of responsibility in terms of the production of their own programming, which at times gets very frustrating. It's a learning process there. Everybody learns differently, everybody learns at different speeds, and everybody learns in different ways. Some people are very tactile learners. We have programs for them. Some people want to just take a camcorder class and go shoot a Little League game. We have a class for them. Other people want to learn how to produce video so they can go on and work at NBC. We have classes for them. So it's pretty flexible, and we look at the community as a community of, especially in Northampton, very diverse community, lots of people, lots of different skill sets. The problems we've had with Mr. Alvarez mainly stem from frustration that he feels as an individual using that particular facility, and the reason that his privileges were revoked was based on what happens with that frustration once it's there. It tends to be, in a nutshell, it makes staff feel uncomfortable. We've tried different ways of meeting with Mr. Alvarez, speaking with him, arranging different things. As you can see attached, we've tried different schedules because we noticed that was a problem. His schedule, by coincidence, happened to be bumped a couple of times unintentionally, so we worked around that. We got a schedule that we could set in stone, though, you know, in one instance here, Jeff was sick, so we let Jeff be sick every now and then, and Terry. And Mr. Alvarez and anybody else that needs to get sick, be sick. But that's really not the issue. What the issue is that the frustrations that were acted out upon and demonstrated became untenable for our coordinators here that are doing the public access coordination for the city. They documented these instances, and unfortunately we were put in a position where we had to revoke the privileges for the producer.
Okay. One of the requests that Mr. Alvarez made to me was to define a process for this whole appeals procedure. As far as that goes, I'm very happy with what the studio has done in terms of documentation. I don't know if you could do much more than that. Presenting the documentation, listening to both sides, and making a recommendation to the mayor, I think is a fair process. Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. First, I would like to say thank you for allowing me to come to this board, and I hope that this opportunity will create a mechanism by which different producers will be able to bring issues to the board, so the board see how important it is community access and how to enhance the process by which people feel comfortable starting to produce issues that relate to the community itself. Although my name is Jaime Alvarez, I do not represent myself here. I represent the Organization for Education and Development. It is a non-profit corporation, a Massachusetts non-profit corporation that is 25 years old. And I am not the only one who has been involved in producing for the last 7 months a program after we went through a process of training. Originally we were 7 people, and the frustrations that the people felt after continuous last-minute cancellations, among other things, rendered the group or decimated the group, or reduced the group to basically 2 or 3 people. Others decided to give up. You bear with me. I would appreciate if you can read the itemized log that I have presented to you. One of my trainings is as a therapist, and I have learned to, by training, take notes, contemporary notes of each session in which I'm involved. I have done nothing different with the sessions that I had at Media One. When I met with Mr. Desmond, he asked me, why do you think that this happened? I gave him a brief summary of my view, and then I produced for him and for you an itemized account of the relevant events that took place in the last 6 months that led us to this point today. So I have included, to the best of my knowledge, and after checking these entries with other people who have been involved in, I have rendered my account. I will hope to have the benefit of your attention by reading these items, because by you reading these pages, you will get a sense of what really happened. I also will suggest that you read also the same memorandums and accounts that the staff has produced, so you can compare what was happening in one side, inside of the producers, and what was happening in the other side, the side of the staff helping the production team. But basically, to summarize it, I would say that between September and December, there was 6 cancellations. 7 if we count one in which bona fide there was somebody sick. Of course, it's possible to find good reasons to cancel 1 or 2 or 3 production meetings. But when it happens week after week, in the span from September to December, 6 cancellations. And when you have a group of 7 people, some of them professionals, some of them performing artists, some of them people who are in the area only for a short period of time, that affects the production. When some of them are volunteers, not receiving anything but the satisfaction of participating in something for the community, and they come and they are turned away because something has been canceled at the last minute, people tend to get turned off to the process. Yes, it's difficult to learn a trade that somebody has taken 10 or 15 years to learn. For somebody who is not a producer and who comes just to use equipment so they can bring a message from the community. And yes, there is different learning rates for different people that need to be recognized. And I believe that this is recognized, as we saw it, as we heard it, in the case of the staff from Media One. I, for one, have given them a number of accolades for their efforts. In writing, I have recognized their efforts to provide services to us in particular and to the community at large. And in person, I have recognized that. And I think that my entries, not all of them will give testimony to my recognitions to them, and will bear itself. I believe that they have an enormous amount of work, and they have a diverse amount of work. However, we all human beings have limitations. As a veteran educator, I can see some of the areas in which they will benefit in learning how the 2 hemispheres of the brain work in the learning process. That they are specialists in the area. We cannot ask them to be everything. I do know certain things, they know other things. In short, there was a number of things that happened, not only of cancellations, but of missing training, of missing scheduling, on calls that I made as the say, captain of the team, that were not returning, of problems with the announcements of our program, with early dismissals, with issues of how lateness were handled, with issues of how apparent missing equipment was handled, and with broadcasting tapes that were not supposed to be broadcast, that created a degree of frustration that decimated our team and placed us and placed me in a difficult situation. Not one, but several times. I hope that you will read thoroughly, as I said, both accounts, so you will have a sense of what has happened. This built up over a period of time. In September, there were 3 cancellations. In November, there was another cancellation. In December, there were 2 cancellations. And when you are supposed to provide Media One with an air tape ahead of time, you, as a producer, have the responsibility to talk to the people that are helping you to do the shootout, to the performance indicators that we are producing. And we produce different kind of dances, although lately we have done mostly tango, but we have done flamenco, we have done other kinds of dances. You have to work with a variety of talent. You need to schedule it. You need to take footage, and then you need to find the time to edit that footage and consolidate it. You need to make decisions. And of course, there are different decisions to be made and different tastes from different groups. Some people are willing to let you tape, but they give you certain rules, certain agreements need to be developed in order to comply with the requirements, so they allow you to tape for free or for a lower amount of money. There's a myriad of details. If any one of you have been a producer, you will know that when you're attending to 100, just to pick a number of details, if one of the major elements, which is producing, goes wrong at last minute, and you have 6 people, some of them will be just like you, professionals or people with other activities, just to call 6 people and find them at the other end of the phone is a feat. If you are given 1 or 2 hours ahead of time or 3 hours ahead of time notice, you need some more notice. Well, if that happens once, if that happens twice, things like that can happen. But when it becomes a pattern, that is a problem. And when it happens over a short period of time, as it happened between September and December, the whole production schedule was thrown in disarray. Some people dropped out, and we were 2 or 3 people left to do things. At the same time that we have scheduled a shootout in Florida that for a week that didn't allow us to be in the studio for 2 weeks. To compound this, as Jeff Summit mentioned it, the equipment that we have is not brand new equipment. That was his word in one of the events. It's all equipment that sometimes need to be repaired, sometimes need to be realigned. Unfortunately, with one particular piece of equipment, it did not function or malfunction, didn't function the way he expected it to function, the way he has instructed me it will function. And he was busy enough, he was alone one day, he had all kinds of things coming at him at the same time that we had a crunch. All of this is understandable. And all of these can be resolved with goodwill communications. All of these need to require some degree of human tolerance and goodwill to communicate and to resolve the problems. Not to blame somebody or not to dismiss somebody just because we don't feel comfortable. And what has happened here is that instead of hearing the problems that I was trying to present, that, as I mentioned to you, are cumulative over a period of 6 months, they felt more comfortable saying, we revoke your privileges. And when I tried to communicate with them in an impromptu meeting, what do I mean by an impromptu meeting? I was scheduled to come on Monday to finish a program. I was called 2 hours before to say, come at 5. I said, I am scheduled at 6. You need to come at 5. I had to cancel a very important appointment in order to accommodate, as I have accommodated many times. And And at 5 you say, we revoke your privileges, you cannot be here. Your program cannot be completed today. After I explained that to Jim, he said, okay, we'll complete it for you. It has been a month today. The program has been completed. Material is time sensitive. So, for 7 months, we invested money because it had cost money to go to Florida, to bring people in, or to develop the amount of hours of footage that we have developed. That cost money. We have invested time and effort in this television access. And now we are shut down. We are being seriously affected. Basically, we are shut down. Our whole operation has been shut down. Instead of having an open communication trying to resolve the problem, we have been shut down. Is that the idea of the First Amendment of the Constitution that we hear? There's something in this country called also due process, in which people are here, and that's what I'm requesting this board, to listen, and then a decision that is reasonable is taken. And that's what I'm asking. I'm asking that this board institute a process for this particular case and for other cases in the future. On one hand, to render justice to the effort that this organization and myself have put into 7 months of work with them. And two, to create a mechanism by which we will find problems and will help to solve them. Instead of ending with 1 or 2 people casting a very large shadow among producers that if they don't behave according to the spirit, we won't let them come in here. Jim is right. It is more to do with the spirit as they interpret it than with the letter. Because if the letter was to be observed, you will read in the page 8, in the page 8 of the handbook, that it says under the chapter of cancellations and lateness that people will be given written warnings on the first offense. Number 1. In number 3, they will say a verbal warning will be with the first offense and a written warning with the second offense. In the item 4, they say after being given a written warning, offenders who fail to notify the law. In other words, they're supposed to have been a written warning. I just received the first written item from Mr. Jim McKeever 4 days ago. The very first, and only after I have presented a number of times verbally and then sent him 2 letters as a follow-up. I will appreciate you take your time, read what is presented, has been presented, and come to a decision that is timely. And I say timely because, again, all this material that has been developed is time sensitive. And right now, there's a program sitting there that is supposed to be aired. Still Media One is announcing us as airing on Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays. But I don't know exactly what is being aired, and I don't know what is going to happen because the programs need to be updated. The material needs to be put in. It was already in. All it needed was to put announcements over. Please read the letter. It's only 1 hour left of work to complete that program. And any one of us could do it. They could do it, or I could do it. Under whatever circumstances that I am asking to allow me or to have them complete that hour of work that is done already and start to air the program because we are being put in harm's way with our program. And then to find a way to resolve this issue. Is it that they can revoke what they call the privileges forever? Do they have the power to say, you, group A, B, or C, or you, person A, B, or C, will not come back to our studios forever? Is that what they are saying? Is that what we are prepared to agree in Northampton? That's some of the items that this board will take up. Please do take up your time, read both sides, because both sides have something to be here. There are frustrations on their side, and those frustrations are a good reason. I grant them they have good reason to be frustrated. Some of it comes from the equipment itself. Some of the reasons come from the equipment that has created some problem for us. Read the accounts that I have, read the accounts they have. Some of them have been the amount of work that they are doing. They are playing, they are doing everything possible. They are in the field doing shootings, they are teaching people, they are doing so many things at the same time. Maybe we're asking too much of these 2 or 3 people. Maybe Continental Cable Vision need to have another person there. Maybe we can come up with some suggestions. Maybe you can see things that I don't see. Yes, let me stop and I will answer any questions you have.
May I ask a question? Can
Yes,
you
sir.
tell me something about Organization Pro Education and Development, Inc., and where it's headquartered, and who the other members are besides you? Because this doesn't tell us much, except that you're a nonprofit corporation, period.
With the Media One, file Media One, and of course I can bring a copy here. We can provide you the documents
Well,
that shows
just
that
give us an idea what it is, and then give me the documents later.
the Organization for Education Development has been groups of people over different period, since 1972. The IRS and the state of Massachusetts, the Secretary of State gave us and status called 503C, which means it's a non-profit corporation
Right.
that does educational work. One of the things that we have done is try to bring people from different cultures,
But who are the people?
from different, let me answer the question, then I will,
No,
you're
answer
asking
it.
what the organization is about. What we do, we try to bring people together by using the elements of food, of music, and dance, so they can communicate with each other.
Okay.
And we have used television since we are producing programs, a monthly program. We produce a program in both English and Spanish of 2 lengths, 30 minutes and 60 minutes. And we broadcast that program in Northampton, in Amherst, in Greenfield, in Holyoke, and in Springfield. So we have some significance, not big, but significant. The effort has been mammoth trying to put this together. Let me say one more time that lots of credit go to Jeff, who has been our main advisor, and to Terry, who has been also an advisor. You have there, I think, Mr. Desmond, I think you have there the certificate from the Secretary of State, if I recognize
This one
that.
here, yeah, this
But that
says
doesn't
that
tell
you're a
me.
domestic corporation.
That's it.
I am a domestic corporation.
You are, or we are, or who is we?
We is the
How,
group.
how many of the people are there? Where are they
For the-
from?
For the particular program, we were.
I don't care about particular programs. I wanna know about this corporation.
The corporation
I
is.
wanna know names. Where are they from? What do they do? Who are they?
From-
I belong to a lot of nonprofit 501c3 corporations. We have people in them. We have a board of directors.
That is
We
correct.
have
We do-
them.
we
They
do
are
have-
names. They're located in a place.
One
I wanna
five-
know who they
one-
are.
154 Suffolk Street, Holyoke. There is a board, and there is.
How many board members?
7 board members.
Who's the president?
I am.
Do you have
And
a
I am
secretary?
And I am representing it here. I'd be happy to, if you need to,
Okay.
because it is filed with the state of Massachusetts, I'd be happy to send you a copy.
How
of
long
that-
have you
that
been
very-
producing
Television?
television?
Since 1997.
Oh, you just
So
started
this
that.
is-
That's
This is the
correct.
first venture, okay.
We took the workshops that Media One offered.
Uh-huh.
We got certified.
How many people were involved in the production in the studio besides yourself? From your-
7 people.
Did you say you lost a couple people too?
We lost all of them, but two and myself,
So there's only 3 remaining.
3 remaining. People
And,
got
and
tired of it.
the reason for their leaving?
Several reasons. One of them, you read this thing,
Yeah.
this account, basically they, I don't know if they are right or wrong, but they came to the studio and they didn't feel comfortable. One complained about somebody. They said that they were tired of scheduling and then coming here and not having the studio.
And they've
available.
been with your organization for how long?
There was a group of people that we recruited in order to do this production.
How long were they with your organization?
Varying times, anywhere from 1 month to a year.
Okay.
And
And this was your first video production venture?
This is, Media One Northampton was our first video production. And we owe to Media One training the ability to have produced this, which shows, is a credit to them.
Yeah. I have another question. Jim, you said that you didn't go by the rules as far as giving warnings and stuff. Is that true?
I'm not positive of that. Terry and Jeff worked on
I
with
never
Jaime.
issued a written warning.
That written warning that I believe Jaime was referring to was being late,
Oh.
picking up
Yeah,
equipment.
that's for late.
His privileges, Mr. Alvarez's privileges aren't being revoked due to lateness.
No, I
They're
understand that.
due to
Okay.
frustrations exhibited, behavior
Yeah.
exhibited.
Now,
due
is he
to-
the only one that was told that?
Yes, the group's
What about
privileges
the
are not
group
denied.
itself?
The group's privileges are not denied.
Okay, it's just an individual?
Yep.
And it's because of the way he got frustrated and responded?
It was
as far-
basically a way to protect the coordinators for Media One for Northampton's public access facility from an
Yeah.
uncomfortable environment.
So the other people in his organization are still welcome to participate
Very much
in programming services down at your facility?
Correct, and Mr. Alvarez still has privileges to play tapes.
I
on the
read that
channel.
here
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And he said there's one tape that's still on file that you have.
Yes, we actually have all of the
They have
tapes he
all.
produced.
Are
That's
you allowing
standard.
him to take those tapes back?
We're allowing him to purchase them, because if you see on
I
the-
see that,
Yeah,
yes.
this is-
yeah.
Okay, so you're allowing him to
We
take.
would, you know, to be honest with you, if we were advised by the cable board to waive that, I would waive that to resolve the issue.
Waive what?
The $374 that he owes for the 26 tapes that he's used.
How could we waive that?
If you said, just eat the cost of those tapes,
I
that
wouldn't
tape
say
stock.
that. No. I wouldn't, if that ever came up as a vote, I would vote against it.
Well, we're not gonna vote on
Yeah,
it.
I don't know if we're at that point.
Um,
Yeah, go ahead.
But he has other people that
Mhm.
are available to rent this equipment.
Yes, the group's privileges are not being denied, an individual producer's privileges are being denied.
Okay, Mr. Alvarez, do you have any offices in Holyoke where you could film the rest of your production?
You heard what Mr. McKeever said. Other members of the group can come.
Yeah,
Based on that, I called him and said, as you well know, producing something requires some decisions. So I'd be happy to come with somebody from my staff who you still allow, and then we make decisions. There will be one for Friday. Originally, he said yes. Then he says, in second thought, maybe not. Let's wait until the advisory board. Correct?
Yeah, correct. I don't think it resolves the issue.
now what about the supposed 1 hour work on that one tape that he has remaining? What's the story on that?
The estimate of how much time it would take to finish his tape is in the hours of, I don't know, Jeff, you're probably closest with that. What would you think it would take for a highly qualified person to edit the tape to his specifications? You know, the other issue is the machine, you know, I'd invite anybody to take a tour of the facility, and again, we're revamping 2 edit suites, but the other 2 aren't by no means obsolete. And the as you probably know best, Bill, from working in this environment, they'll only do certain things.
Yeah,
If you wanted to do more, you have to get a different machine, spend more money on a machine. We have machines that are professional quality and broadcast quality, but they'll only do certain things.
yeah.
So what basically, one issue is, just for an example, that one of the frustrations comes from too much information in a character generator that crashes, because it's not able to.
So he's looking to
process it.
do things that aren't readily
Right.
available by this.
Yeah, I mean,
Machinery.
we're not a professional studio.
I-
producing
I think
for
we are, it's just,
Hollywood.
it's a
No, I
level
mean,
of professional
producing
studio,
for
yeah.
within
or
technical limits.
Hollywood or
Exactly.
something
And,
like that.
and you're
is
also
what
not
saying.
profiting
We're-
from
we're
this
level below
in
that.
any way. This is community access programming. So
Right.
you're
That's
providing a
correct.
service free of charge to
Right.
another
To groups, which
organization.
makes me wonder too, the financial harm's way puts me ill at ease as well to work with the group under specific deadlines. For instance, if the
Yeah.
group met with us and proposed this initially, saying these are our needs, these are our deadlines, I would not approve it based on the fact knowing that we have to treat everybody fair and equitable in the community and that the needs that he's proposing cannot be met by the public access facility.
And he never he never presented that to you before
No,
the production.
no. It's actually news to me right now that op-ed, is it op-ed? Is based in Holyoke.
Can we get back to the previous question, Jeff? How much time is needed?
Approximately 4 or 5 hours to finish the show, looking at the tapes that Ahmed provided me.
4 to 5 hours.
Mhm.
So with that 4 or 5 hours, would that put a wrap on your production?
For this program, that is.
This is what you
way-
need.
Yes, sir.
Jim, is 4 or 5 hours
Okay.
gonna stay 4 or 5 hours in this case, in your opinion?
This is 4 or 5 hours with a competent professional,
Providing
Running
that,
the machine.
providing that I have all the information that I need.
not necessarily you, but a
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
competent
sure.
professional.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that strikes me is,
Excuse me.
well, there's a couple things. First of all, we've had the studio for what, 15 years?
Yeah, my involvement's
Something like
been
that.
11.
You've been here
he's been
11.
here 11.
First it was Steve Solomon, then it
Mhm.
was Perry Hall, and then you, Jim, and
There was
one
one
of-
in between.
probably the most consistent
Huh?
thing about
But they
about
were
cable
very
TV
short-lived.
in Northampton is the high regard in which the local studio has been held, and that includes the staff. Every time that we have a public meeting, one of the things that comes out is local producers saying, "We want more." What we got is so good, and they say,
Yeah,
they
they wanna do
say
more.
wonderful things about the staff. We want more, bigger, better machines, more space, everything, because it's obviously very well liked. And the work there is first rate, as is the staff.
And it's local, one of the things that remains local in this time of
Yeah.
regionalization.
Yeah, in the
Thank
time,
God.
I'm not
this
local
is
as
true,
much
Robbie,
as I
this
wanna
is
be.
probably the best studio that Media One has to offer in Western Mass.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Is there, it sounds to me like this is sort of an unprecedented thing.
Yes.
That's too much to say.
Yeah.
Is there or could there be a set of procedures that could be documented so that there's a little bit less confusion about a kind of established process for getting to this point?
Well, I
They
believe that
have
the
that.
precedent, though, they're already in place, and the documentation we have for us is our way of doing it. It's almost treated the same way a human resource issue would be treated at any
Mhm.
company.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And what we're doing also is learning from this precedent how we can apply it in the future if need be.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know, looking back, if we would have done anything specifically differently, but we're always willing to listen to the board, to Mr. Alvarez, to anybody in the community on how we can improve our procedures. We actually just did that today. We sat down in my office and came up with, and there's lots of examples that I could give you of things that need to be worked out that aren't specifically spelled out in the handbook.
Mm.
And we came up with a fair and equitable.
I mean, it sounds to me that there were obviously quite a lengthy series of incidents.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't sound like this happened suddenly or anything, but, so that people can really be clear that,
Yeah.
I got my written warning, now, or whatever the procedure is.
Yeah, and just referring to the fact that in September, there were issues with, by the luck of the draw, Mr. Alvarez being denied or canceled an edit time or something like that. So October, there was also another issue with it. So in November, we sat down and came up in black and white with a schedule, as well as in December. And I think that there may just have been some miscommunication as to what was officially scheduled and what wasn't scheduled, but thought that was.
Didn't you have it in writing though?
Yeah, all the ones in writing were not.
If I could, well, if I could pick up where I left off, given that that the staff in the studio have had an excellent record for 15 years, there are a few statements here that bother me. One is a couple of from Mr. Alvarez's package, in which he says, he's talking about a problem. I made Jeff aware of it and told him that without his help, I could not meet the deadline of production for the program. That bothers me. That implies that I need special treatment here so I can make my deadline. On the same page, I needed to know if I was going to get the appropriate help. Again, this bothers me. It says, you have to help me, which I don't see as the spirit of the studio and their staff. From Jim's package, the page from Sylvia, who I believe has gone back to Italy.
She's from Italy, which is why there's a little
Her,
funkiness with the wording.
yeah, well,
She's not
if we can
dyslexic
bear
or
with the
anything.
English. He ordered me to check all his whole tape. I had to do it. Yeah, this bothers me. This is like, the staff has now become Mr.
Provide-
Alvarez's staff. This, it seems to me to be, an attitude which is in conflict with the spirit of the studio.
Yeah, they're providing a free service to the
Yes.
community.
Yeah, and so
And
this is what I have a problem with.
May I
Wait.
address that, please?
Well, first, I wanna make another point too, just on that thing, is that I wanna know how many different groups use that studio?
Well, we have an access user list that relatively, I think, averages to 100. We try to include it quarterly in your packets as well.
Right.
And it's mainly Northampton. There's a few other hill towns, Hatfield,
Right.
Williamsburg as well, that use the facility. But there's an average of 100 people active at any given time. Project-wise, it varies, I think, from a low point of 1 or 2 to a high point of, I don't know,
Like 10,
Yeah.
20, maybe
Yeah.
up
even a
to
dozen
there.
at
But the
sometimes.
point is, there are a lot of different people using it, and it's
Mhm.
very hard to say, well, these people have privileges and they can get there whenever they want. The others have to work out times and things, and it's very difficult when you have that many people.
Right.
That can be one problem.
And we tend to, if somebody misses an appointment for Edit Suites, there's somebody right there ready to take it, because
Right.
everybody feels the pressure of trying to do a program, so, as you know,
Yeah.
we do provide the opportunity for a quick call if you can come in. There's an hour or two in the Edit Suite, and people do take that time, and that's been the occasion as well.
And
That
you're
some,
still in the process of upgrading the editing
yeah,
suites.
we're gonna
Another
double
one,
them,
so
and I'm
you're
sure
gonna have
those
more.
still won't be empty, they'll be,
Yeah, they'll still be filled.
we'll just get more
So
people.
It's hard to say.
Which was-
You can't really guarantee places all the time,
No, I don't think,
and I don't think you
we
should, to be truthful with you.
Okay, in order
Do
to
the best
get
you can.
this production done, we need 4 or 5 hours of professional time.
Mhm.
Mr. Alvarez, do you have somebody who can give you 4 or 5 hours of professional time to finish this production?
I believe so.
If Mr. Alvarez has a professional person who will do all of the technical work,
Mhm.
would you be agreeable to renting him a room
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
him and his
Yeah,
person,
and-
whether he
and
pays that person or not?
we would make sure that it's technically maintained, that all the equipment's working and functioning the way it's supposed to, it's been balanced, it's fired up, there's a technician available if there's a problem at that particular time. If there is a problem that can't be resolved, we'll reschedule for no charge to complete the project.
With the understanding that it's his professional person who is doing the work, your staff is not available.
Only to maintain the equipment if it needs to be during the process.
Okay. Would that be agreeable?
That would be agreeable. Again, time is of the essence.
Okay, I don't know what the rental rates are. I'll have to work that out.
We
This
have
is not public access, you mean?
Not anymore,
Maybe.
no.
I don't think the organization is in a financial position to spend money beyond what has been spent already.
The financial problems of a local access producer I don't think is the concern of this board.
Agreed.
I mean, there is a solution out there.
If the equipment is made available, as it is made available for any producer seeking public access at no cost, I can find somebody who would come and complete the program.
I don't think that's the same thing.
That's
I think
what I can offer.
Well, if the existing producers from the group can finish the project, that's already been offered, it's already on the table, and it's already going forward, their privileges remain.
Right.
They're welcome to use any of the facilities. at any time to
The other
produce the
producers
program.
are.
Yeah, yeah,
With or without Mr. Alvarez,
without.
okay? So, that's,
Again, I need to be there to make decisions
Oh.
on what is going to go into the program.
based on everything I mean, your privileges have been revoked. Your group's privileges have not. So if your group can finish it, fine. If you would like to be there and rent the space, that's fine too.
Again, if the suite is provided at no cost, or we have somebody from my team with whom I can come and finish,
That's not one of the options.
that's what I can do at this time.
Well, that, I don't see that as being on the table unless somebody wants to disagree.
I won't disagree.
I mean, unfortunately, I think part of this board's responsibility is unclear. And I don't think we're in a position
It's
to
outside
tell
our
us,
responsibility.
right.
I mean,
I don't think it's.
I agree with you.
I mean, we have, this staff is entrusted with a very heavy responsibility, and I think they've done a stellar job over the years, and we are certainly not in any position to question that. So I think if this is a decision that they've come to, we need to respect that, and I think options are being given here to allow this program to be finished.
That's exactly true. I think we're just trying to find a solution here. I'm not in a position to recommend to the mayor that she override Jim's decision. If we could figure out another way, which is what we're trying to do now, then that's fine.
I have another suggestion. Is the equipment that they need to do this production, is it available to take to their location?
No, it's
No,
a
it's
Chiron
empty,
VP2,
isn't it?
it's all rack mounted.
It's all rack mounted,
Yeah, it's an
okay.
edit
Yeah.
suite, basically.
Alright.
It's,
Okay.
equipment,
Well, I think, if,
doing graphics, right?
my recommendation for this board is to make no recommendation to the mayor, because I don't see us changing anything. I would say, Mr. Alvarez, if you want to make acceptable arrangements with Jim to either have one of your other producers use the studio or to rent the studio yourself, then that's where we are.
Again, we are not in a position to rent it. If the studio becomes available, one of the people that are working with us will be able to finish it. I will need to be there to give that person direction.
Well, I guess if you can give that person explicit instructions so that he or she can take care of it, then that's what you're left with.
Maybe that is possible. Maybe I can give direction specific enough.
That would be good.
But
Yep.
there is no way that the organization can provide any money for Media One to use the studio for public access.
And assuming if the person wants to come and do it, I mean, there's always a phone, right? I mean, you can always be called with questions, so then I take it that you will be able to designate somebody.
If it's an agreement here that the studio will be made available for, I hear 4 hours, then I will find somebody who would come and complete that program.
Is that agreeable?
To you?
Okay.
Oh, that's all right.
Very good, and once again, 15 years, first time we've ever had this kind of an issue. And I just want to repeat that the absolute strength.
Well, we had
of-
some problems in the early days,
Yeah.
before Jim came.
I straightened them out.
Yeah, Jim came and straightened everything out. But
Now, we could
the
go back that
the
far.
reputation and record of the studio and
But they
the
weren't
staff has
that
been
bad.
outstanding. It's well deserved.
They understand. And is there a process through which both sides are going to be heard?
I think we just did that.
This is it.
I think we just did that. As far as,
What do you mean by both sides?
Well, there are documents here that show
We understand the documents, that's
Yeah.
not a problem.
What we can do, if you want, in fact, what we'll do is we'll take your package and Jim's package and give them both to the mayor. Since she is who we report to as an advisory board. And if she wants to do anything with it, that's entirely up to her.
All right?
I would appreciate it, you communicate that to me in writing, that that's what is going to
I
happen.
don't
Sure.
think we, do you have to put it in writing?
Well, I'll just,
It's on
It's
tape.
on the
I'll tell you
record.
what. But yeah, it's on the
Well,
record.
part of the record.
What do you wanna put?
It'll be in the minutes,
Provide-
which is the public record, that, these packages will be forwarded to the mayor. Okay? Do you have both packages, Rob?
I hope so, I hope I have them all. Look in there and tell me for everything.
Secretary to the secretary.
I wasn't sure if I had that letter.
I don't think I had the time to give you this letter, it's the answer to your last letter,
Okay, thanks.
but I,
Yeah.
copy of what I given the,
Is everything there? This is, give me a copy.
This is
I
Jim's.
know that you
package.
have read what the staff prepared for you, I would appreciate you can read it.
Sure.
That would give you
Okay, yeah.
another dimension.
Okay,
And maybe they can read it as well, so they can understand.
I'll make sure they're copied on it.
Do nothing wrong.
I'm sure,
All your new business.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I will be calling you, Jim, to make arrangements so somebody will come.
Yeah, just have the certified producer, or if it's somebody new, contact Jeff or Terry directly who will schedule it for it. But it's the producer, the editor's working in the suite by themselves with your advisement beforehand or on the phone.
Okay,
Well, thank you for listening to.
You're welcome.
thank you.
You're welcome.
case.
Still on the local studio, I have a question.
Sure.
High school basketball.
Just talked about it today. They haven't asked
We-
us to do their games in a while, and
Well,
Got a good team.
we had a heck of a year.
Yeah.
And we have a heck of a coach who
Yeah.
loves to talk.
yeah.
And this,
I think what the issue is, what we decided today, I think, if I remember correctly, was to approach the team next year proactively beforehand, rather than waiting for them to contact
Yeah.
us. We weren't really in a position to do that the last couple of seasons, but going forward we are, as well as approaching the Hampshire County Sheriffs about their benefit game that they do every year. We always sort of get last minute notifications, so we're gonna actually start contacting them now for something that
Okay.
happens next year.
It's-
What an
the
idea.
farther ahead you can get, the better.
Oh, yeah.
off you are.
people, especially since they had such a good season, people have
Yeah.
asked me about it.
Well, we've done those in the
I
past.
was
It's
the
been
original
a
producer for high school
change in the, I
basketball.
think, the athletic department where it just wasn't a priority for him, but seeing as it still is for us, we'll
And it
be a
could
little
have
more
been with
proactive.
a new coach, he didn't know how well he was going to do. It was
Yeah, no, that's true too.
But he will
not
talk
too
on
sure
camera
that he'd
anytime
be
you
so
want.
successful.
That's probably why, they didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's been changes. I'm not even sure if the athletic director is the same. It might not be, so.
The
Yeah,
AD's
we're
the same.
surprised.
Is it?
Jeff, yes.
Yeah, Jeff's still there.
Yeah,
Something
I would, because I've had some people ask me about it. and I
We,
would-
Oh,
I
he's
have to
looking
double
for
check.
early
retirement,
I think when they
okay.
put the new stand out by the football field, I think that's wired to go live too for football games or soccer.
I think that's the
Really?
reason that it was moved to that site. Yeah,
Yeah. And that was before the rebuild, so I'll have to check it out.
okay.
It's probably as easy as checking out the process of picking program, but I'll-
Covering
I'll stay on
football.
it.
That'd be
figure it
kind
out.
of, there are other towns that do high school football.
Oh, yeah, tons of them.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Buckland Shelburne
It's a
is
little more
really into it. I think they do
ambitious.
everything that the school does. Yeah. It depends. They're in the school, so it's a little different.
Would you have to recruit a local producer or
I think
volunteer
we try to produce
personnel?
these ourselves. I
Yeah.
even think we might try to take it out of the public access realm. We'll look at local sponsorship and
Oh, that'd be great.
paying talent,
Yeah, that'd be great.
cheerleaders. I don't know.
There you go.
They have cheerleaders.
We got you.
Yeah, everybody will want to cut if we start putting them in there.
Okay, so we'll, let me see, we're gonna meet again in June. and then September.
Yeah, what about old and new business and then?
Yeah,
maybe
no,
the
no,
next
I'm
meeting?
just, so maybe in June, we'll have some more, on high school sports.
Oh,
Okay. Now, old business.
On that issue though, too, you know that
Okay.
the Falcons are now on Channel 9. on
Yeah.
cable nine.
Yeah. I don't know how I'm gonna sleep at night.
Springfield Falcons. People actually wanted that for a while. So, yeah, the Springfield Falcons hockey, and I think we covered Harvard sports, which
Yeah,
turned
Harvard.
out to be good because we got the Princeton game, which was actually a really good game. Princeton that went on to the not the Final Four, but the tournament. They
Really?
played-
They
Yeah.
had the Harvard Princeton game?
Yeah,
You're probably the only
which
one.
actually meant something this year
Yeah.
to people that didn't live in
Wow,
Cambridge.
that's pretty good.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, we're starting. We're starting.
Can we move to old business now? Anybody got anything?
Yes. In our minutes, about 2/3 the way down, it says, there were questions about getting a history channel at the high school, a cable in the classroom. Curriculum guides are available, there's no charge for the service. I have a vague recollection, although there's nothing specific in the minutes about this, of somebody telling me they would look into getting the high school the history channel, and I have not heard from anybody. A couple of days ago, I called somebody named Tom O'Rourke.
Yeah. How did you get his number, boy? He's the Fialki of New Hampshire.
Okay, well, I was referred to him
Wow.
because he's in charge of government relations, I guess. Is that the-
He's the Fialki of New Hampshire, yeah.
Okay. In any case, you know, I was, I don't know who gave it to me, somebody from customer service. Gave
Oh,
me-
because you said Northampton, and of
I
course.
thought
we're
that
down
was
in
New
Hampshire.
Hampshire,
Yeah.
All right, in any
Here we
case,
go again. Aren't you glad we have a regional company?
yeah.
Okay.
In any case,
Anyway.
the bottom line here is that I would still like to get the History Channel, whether it's, or at least find out what my options are about getting the History Channel, regardless of whether it's on an individual basis or as part of a package or however it might be, and would like to start some wheels in motion to do so.
Yeah.
And,
I think we did that today, if I remember right, on the email that I got from your request. I think when you talked to Terry as well, and she requested from Jeff to get an answer in terms of our policy. I think we can offer it at the rate of 90-something cents per
So-
month plus a box. The policy's not to give it out for free. The other option is to see if Jeff, Terry, or I can tape it for you, which is what we do for the Holyoke School Department. When someone individually wants programming taped from Cable in the Classroom magazine, they request it for us and we'll provide a tape it off there and provide the tape. I personally, I don't know, let's go on record. I'd prefer to be able to give it to you for free than have us tape it for you, but that's the
Yeah.
policy, that's, you
Yeah,
know.
what's the policy on cable in the classroom?
Cable in the Classroom offers everything else pretty much that anybody would want for free on the what's called the, I forgot now, I'm not looking at the right piece of
And you
paper.
get people to tape
Cable
it.
package
Costs you more-
2.
Costs you more
Yeah.
for the taping for the 90 cents
Yeah.
for the channel.
well, there are restrictions.
Where does that come out?
There are
Yeah, but it
copyright
comes out like
restrictions.
at 4:30 in the morning or something, some of these programs.
Yeah, some of it's meant to be set up like a teacher at the end of the day sets their VCR to tape something at 4:30, comes in that morning and it's there for them
Oh,
to use as part of
yeah.
the curriculum. That's what it's designed to be.
Yeah.
Right.
used.
But there are copyright restrictions on the things that are described in Cable in the Classroom. And if a particular program on the Revolutionary War, you know, is available on History Channel, we can tape it, but in many cases, if we had it, we could tape it. But the restrictions vary from fair use, which is essentially 10 days or something like that.
Yeah, there's, as far as I know, that's news to me. Cable in the Classroom, as far as I could tell, there's no restrictions on it other than like after 3 years it expires.
Cable in the Classroom is only a magazine, just like a schedule.
No, it's actually a magazine, like a TV guide, showing you all the things that you can use for the
Right, but
curriculum.
but if you look through carefully, you'll notice that it gives you a code
Mhm.
that describes the restrictions.
Tells you what it is.
That's what I was looking at.
Okay, it describes the restrictions, and the restrictions are, vary from, you know, you can use fair use, and fair use is this 10-day, I think,
Uh-huh.
and to 1 year or indefinite or whatever, but I believe that's the case.
Yeah, I have to look into that, because I think, you know, one of the things that we tout about it is that it's commercial-free and has no copyright restrictions. So I have to find, I mean, that's what I've been told from day one is why it exists to begin with, so I'll find out for sure.
I probably have a copy right in my office, but.
Right, that's just a sort of primer of what it is, I believe.
This was
When's
not
the outfit
cable in
gonna
the
be
classroom out here.
No, there's another one.
But-
Jeff can do that, the outfit.
Jeff was, there's just a conflict tonight with something else he's gone.
It's family matters tonight.
Yeah.
But anyway, who is it that handles that,
Me, basically, so, working through Jeff's mandate of we can't give it for free, I can try to fill the need for the school through using Terry and Jeff as a resource.
well, can we purchase it as either an individual program or as part of a package?
Yeah, the thing that, again, I'm trying to remember the email said specifically was the rate is 90-something cents
That's
plus
just,
a service fee or something like that. And,
let me give you my email address,
okay,
and you can keep me apprised of what's
I'll
going on.
actually just forward you that.
Let me just write it down.
Sure. Right there, I'll see it. The other option would be we'd provide copies of it at no charge
Okay.
to the school.
Could you broadcast that right from the studio, right to a TV, right to a?
No,
So
it
you-
actually, it comes from Westfield now, the head end in Westfield
Oh, okay.
feeds up, the digital hub site kind of breaks things up here, the one that's on Florence Road.
Yeah.
But it's coming directly off of satellite in Westfield up to the residential part of the system. So the only thing that we can control is channel 15.
Don't forget the R at the end.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
So
explore
you're
it and
gonna
make
work
sure that
that
it
out.
works for you.
What's your
as
email
best we
address,
can.
by the way?
It's on my card, no, it's not. jmckeever@mediaone.com.
That's not.
All
too tough.
lowercase?
Nope,
Nice.
new cards.
Media one is all one word?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's why.
email.
Any other old business?
Send it, yeah.
Yeah.
Any new business? I got none.
I guess there is none.
Okay.
Next meeting.
Are we gonna need another meeting sooner to take care of this complaint?
I don't
or
think so.
we're
I don't
just-
think so.
We're gonna give
I
this
think we took
information
care
to
of
the
it.
mayor,
Give it to the mayor.
give it to the
We
mayor.
don't have to do anything on it. Not our job.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like
Right.
we did not vote to recommend anything to the mayor. We'll just give it a package.
People in the class.
What I'll probably do is just have Jimmy
what are we
Mine, who
looking
used to
at
do
here?
just cable in the classroom right outreach. He's now sort of the Jeff in charge in Westfield. I'll have him meet with you, and he knows a lot of this stuff in his head. He knows a lot
I
of
suppose we
other
should
teachers are
meet
using it and things like that.
Before the end of the
I'll
month.
check with him tomorrow.
What, June?
And, I'll also forward you that email.
At the end of the
Sure.
month, people tend to scatter.
Yeah, well, the other problem with the end of the month is that when they get out of school, this building closes up like at 8 o'clock.
Well, we're supposed to-
And that's like before the middle of the
But we have to have a room where we can have a draft.
We could do it at the studio, do that in Connecticut.
Good.
Get some cookies, brew some coffee, that's how they meet in Connecticut. And the cameras are there, you just flip a switch.
It's also the JFK community room,
Huh?
the JFK middle school community room.
Right. But that's pretty
Is-
pretty
Is
booked,
the
I
school
think.
building available in the summertime?
The library is
Well, you
available.
have to be a little careful about
Yeah.
what's open
Yeah.
after certain hours during the summertime, because I understand
Yeah, the
the
custodians aren't
maintenance
there.
crew,
We've met here in the summer
Both up.
before.
huh?
We've met here in the summer
Well, it
before.
depends on if the school has something going on or not, and,
Well, If Kennedy is open, the community room, the library, which is
Yeah.
available right next door, and there's is access immediately to the feeds there, right?
Yep.
You can
Okay.
meet in the library, at Kennedy,
This is all if the building. is
and that's
open.
air conditioned.
That's a plus.
That might be a better
can all go for a
place
dip
for
after.
Yeah,
a
right.
summer meeting, we're only gonna have one probably.
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe
if,
into the
if,
studios.
Where we do it, I don't think.
when's the last day of school? Rich, you know
It
that.
varies, it's different from the high school, I think it's like the it's a Friday,
It's a Friday.
third Friday,
Friday is the 19th.
yeah,
19th.
for Kennedy, but it's like it's the next Monday for the high school, I believe. Okay, it's like the, 19th for JFK and the 22nd for the high school. Unless we have another snow day.
So we'd have to do it before the 19th, is that it?
No,
Oh,
What do you mean lost
the school will be open late?
I assume at Kennedy, with the pool there,
Oh, that's
Is
right.
that open nights and
it's open pretty late, I don't know how.
Yeah, there's probably, somebody's probably going to the gym.
Kennedy.
his wife on too?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
do you have a preference on Mondays or Tuesdays?
Booked up pretty much. We're talking with John about it, so.
Okay.
make a
I don't know,
request.
there's two other guys, I don't know, I
Yeah,
know him
Jay.
playing, but yeah,
Do you have a
He's
preference
huge.
on Monday or
So he
Tuesday?
could jump if he wanted.
Well,
he wasn't jumping, so.
Jones cannot
Second
make
game,
it on
each game he got
Tuesday.
progressively
No?
taller.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a Monday preference as well.
That
if
sucks
possible.
to
You
have
prefer
to
Monday?
leave.
Yeah.
Especially
Hey, it's
if it's
worth
Okay,
it.
let's go for
Yeah,
Monday.
come on.
Okay.
Bill, Monday okay? Rich?
Sure.
The
The
22nd?
22nd?
6:22?
Monday, June 22nd.
And did we decide a place? I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
And where do we want it?
To be determined,
JFK,
Okay.
what?
library.
Library?
The library?
And I will check on
Not
that.
the one out.
We're
I
gonna
will-
have to check to get.
I will check on that availability.
I was just
Check
out there
it,
last
and
week.
then if we have
Where
a
you went?
problem,
Yeah.
we'll
Is it
find
cool?
another
Yeah,
place.
it is cool. But they have it shut off at night.
They do?
We had there was a,
Ralph
conference
will
going
send
on.
out a notice in any
And,
case.
It's
Yeah,
not, it's huge.
yeah,
I think it's
yeah, I'm down to go, I think I'm gonna do that this summer.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Motion to adjourn?
Just, before you adjourn, I just, on behalf of Terry, Jeff, Bjorn, everybody else, thank you for your support.
Thanks
Thank
for your
you.
good work.
It's not like that,
Thank you for all your support.
the, Bartlett's.
No,
Bartlett's James, yeah.
There's some home smoke.